What do you want to do?
I don't know. We don't have an intro. Welcome back to the Glaziar Gamble podcast. This is episode 17. That is a lot of episodes, but there's going to be a lot more. I am Mychal Glaziar. That is Joe Rybolt, and we are here to talk to you about sports, Marvel, etc. This is the sports section, and let's just jump right into it. Don't want to bore you with anything, but if you do like it, make sure to drop a like, subscribe if you enjoy. We're going to start with the NBA, that is the National Basketball Association.
Academy.
National Basketball Academy. We don't have much on it. There were some topics that were talked about, but we're probably not going to go too much into those because that's not our cup of tea. Speaking of tea, Tyler Herro, he mentioned that he believes he is in the same category as LeBron, Michael Jordan. No, he said he was in the same category as Luka Doncic, Trae Young, Ja Morant. He said, I feel like my name should be in that category too. You added this to our notes.
Yeah, I saw this and I just had to put it in the discussion talk because I don't think he's anywhere close to them.
My little note next to that note, I put LMFAO.
Like the band?
I bet the band's better. Oh man, to put him in that category. Are we playing in the bubble all the time?
Well, even more so, like those three aren't even in the same category. Like I feel like Luka's above.
Luka's a tier above Trae and Ja.
Yeah.
A lot of people have questions about Ja. A lot of people would probably put Trae above Ja. My personal bias is if I'm starting a team, I would take Ja over Trae.
Right.
Because both of them, like Trae's not necessarily a better shooter than Ja, and the big thing on Ja is if he can shoot. Right. It's like, well, Trae has to shoot 40 shots to get 40 points. Sure. So, I mean, I would put Luka above Trae and Ja, and I wouldn't put them in the same category as well. Like all three have issues shooting, but Luka does more than the other two.
Right.
And
Luka has a clutch. I mean, they each have different variations of like the clutch gene too. So like you can't say they don't have the clutch gene.
Right. So.
Whereas does Tyler Herro have the clutch gene?
Tyler Herro has one thing, which is that mean mug meme.
Yeah,
that's it. Mm-hmm. Like I've loved his interviews off the court. Like there was a thing with him, Jimmy, and Bam that they did answered a bunch of questions together. And Tyler made a comment about they asked him about swimming, and he's like, I don't know how to swim. And then Jimmy laughed and he was just like, I knew you were one of us. And I was like, I thought that was hilarious. Yeah. I think his interviews off the court are awesome, but I would not put him in that category.
Sure, yeah, me neither.
So I thought that comment, I'm all for having that confidence.
Yeah.
Like if Tyler Herro, if you're a Miami Heat fan, you would be happy to hear that he thinks he's that good.
Sure.
But he took probably the biggest sophomore slump.
Yeah, he had probably the
anyone.
worst sophomore slump I've ever seen.
And I think that's because the bubble. Yeah. I mean, a lot of those guys, that sophomore year was like a rookie year because they've never had fans. So maybe he'll take a jump up back to his bubble time, but
I mean now he's got
he's got more to prove now.
Yeah, he's got Lowry's gonna demand some shots too. So he's not where he could have been the third option.
And he's not the go-to guy for the shot.
Yeah.
Like if you need a shot now, it's Jimmy, Lowry, Duncan Robinson's probably next, and then Herro.
Yeah.
And if you only needed two, they're probably gonna try to get it into Bam.
Yeah.
Before Herro, so
or Jimmy and ISO or something.
I don't think Luka or Trae or Ja are ever going to be the fifth option on any team.
Yeah, exactly.
But all for him, thinking he's up there.
Yeah. I gotta see how he responds to last year's sophomore slump because that was hard to watch.
I would say it's probably the worst outside of, I think it was Michael Turner in the NFL. Might have been him. One of those. There was a big running back that their sophomore slump was the worst I'd ever seen.
Falcon.
Yeah, he was Falcon. He was the guy. I think he was after war done, so got return, something like that. Anyway, yeah, I'd like to see him get better. I want to see good basketball. So the other NBA topic we have to talk about is Ben Simmons has returned. He is reportedly coming back.
Yeah, he apparently had a sit down with Daryl Morey, and I don't know what was discussed there, but can't imagine he's gonna be able to get on that court and have everyone look at him. It's got to be really awkward.
I don't
really
think
weird.
his point here, so the Sixers have been open. They want to trade him. So I don't think he's returning to, all right, we're going to play together and win a championship together. I think it's like, I'm here, but I'm only here so that the team can trade me.
Yeah.
I don't think it's anything more than that. I think he probably had to sit down like, no, I don't want to lose any more money, but I also don't want to be here.
Yeah.
So I'll come back, but you have to be actively looking to trade me every single day.
Yeah.
Otherwise, I'll do a James Harden, and I'll show up, but I'm walking on the court.
Yeah.
He's what Harden did. He walked back and forth from top of the three to top of the three, So that's probably what he's going to do. There was one player that a team that just offered a player for Ben Simmons, which was the Brooklyn Nets.
The Wolves are playing tonight.
The Wolves are playing them tonight. They offered Kyrie Irving for Ben Simmons and Seth Curry, and the Sixers said, we will not even entertain that because I don't want to deal with Kyrie.
Yeah.
Because, Kyrie has his whole situation with the vaccine right now and making his recent public statements that have kind of gone out of whack.
There's some states where they're vaccine mandate in these large arenas, take into effect on what the players
including the Brooklyn Nets.
Yeah. Nets, the Warriors, Andrew Wiggins had that whole thing, but there's also some states that don't. So,
I think Dallas Mavericks don't have it.
Yeah. Minnesota, I don't believe has
Orlando doesn't. Miami doesn't. So there are teams that he'd be able to practice at, play at, and Brooklyn was able to say that they are a private location, so he can practice at home. But then the team made a statement saying that he has to vaccinate himself anyway, even though the state said it's okay. The Sixers said they just don't want to deal with that. I think you said there was something. We don't really want to touch too much on it, but you had one thing that you were going to say.
Well,
So for our NFL discussion, we have some few things going on. Also, some pretty big off-field situations happening. The big one is Jon Gruden. Jon Gruden was horrible.
Well, we did talk before the season started. We talked about what would happen if the Las Vegas Raiders started off poorly.
Would Jon Gruden be on the hot seat was our question.
Turns out, I don't even know how to say this without
being canceled yourself.
Yeah. Let's just say his mouth was hot.
Yeah.
His mouth was on the hot seat.
Yeah. Yep.
Approximately 10 years ago until now.
Mm-hmm. So there was the Washington football team was getting their investigation through owner Dan Snyder was getting investigated, and during that time they went through 600,000 forms of communication. It might have been 60,000. I thought it was 600,000. It was emails, texts, spoken altercations that happened in the locker room that were documented, videotape that they were able to put through, and so far the only thing they found is stuff on Jon Gruden for some reason and nothing on anybody else.
Yeah.
That's the only thing I'm questioning.
It's also during the time that Jay Gruden was in Washington.
I think he was the head coach,
Yeah.
Or offense coordinator.
Something like that.
Anyway, found out that Jon Gruden said some racist things, sexist things,
homophobic
things, just discriminatory things altogether.
And we don't stand for.
No, and
the Glaziar Gaming.
Neither does the NFL, clearly. And so the Washington football team scandal and sexual assault allegations and that sort of thing is what caused the investigation to happen. Well, the Washington football team just announced that Sean Taylor's jersey is going to be retiring, and everybody is like, "Oh, what?"
They're trying to take the little heat off of all that.
However, for those of you that might have jumped to conclusions, this was scheduled before the season started. So they did not plan this around when Jon Gruden, it just happened to fall this time. However, it would have been smart of them to delay it because now it's kind of taking away from one of the most loved players of all time because everybody's going to be, the fans are probably going to boo if Snyder goes out to announce the retiring. They're going to boo, and you did not want Sean Taylor's jersey retirement to have booing.
Yeah.
He doesn't, he was murdered. He doesn't deserve booing to even ever occur at that retirement. Yeah. So, terrible. Jon Gruden situation is also terrible. Madden removed him from the game, and they'll be replacing him with a general likeness person. However, most people are saying, why don't you just replace him with somebody?
Yeah, like the New England used to have Chad Masters.
Yeah.
And then, I don't know,
there's going to be an actual interim head coach. They could have replaced it with somebody that looked like the interim head coach.
Sure.
My favorite response from that was when somebody asked, why aren't you doing this? Somebody replied, because that would take effort, and it is EA.
Yeah.
And I thought that was a very accurate response. EA does not want to do anything more.
There's probably going to be a microtransaction that you got to do in order to...
Right, if you want it to look like the interim head coach, you have to just pay $5 for it. Yeah, so that'll be it. That we don't want to be like controversial, go into it. We don't stand for discrimination. The NFL doesn't. Jon Gruden resigned before he was going to get fired, which we know he probably would have. We'll see if Derek Carr can lead the team away from that distraction for a win, because they have slumped ever since they started out hot. The next topic we have is a former Raider. Cordarrelle Patterson is amazing. I thought the Vikings weren't using him correctly. And when we had him, I was like, he's more than just a kick returner. And then they put him at wide receiver. I was like, he's not a wide receiver. He's like a slot H-back type of guy. And
they only used him in special, like, if he was on the field, they were doing some trick play.
Right. They were going to sweep to him, screen pass to him, pitch it to him on a double reverse. And they used him incorrectly. They thought they were being creative, but just like the Vikings offense now, it was so predictable that their creative plays were obvious. But he was never used correctly. I was always upset. So when he left, I was very happy for him to go to the Patriots. Patriots didn't use him correctly. But now
they started to.
They started.
They used him at halfback.
Then they stopped.
Yeah. Well, that's because they had like 4 starting running backs that they just cycled through.
Right. That was James White, and I mean they had plenty. Now he's on the Falcons. He is the number 5 wide receiver in the NFL, I believe. Number 3,
like point value wise,
yeah,
because he's getting rushing touchdowns, receiving touchdowns,
and then he's also one of the highest rated running backs right now.
Yeah.
I'm so happy for him. I wanted him. I tweeted at him multiple times this offseason when he was making.
He wanted to come back.
He wanted to come back to Minnesota, and I was like, please bring him back. Obviously, that was when I still thought KJ wasn't a wide receiver 3.
Yeah.
So I was like, bring him back, make him wide receiver 3. Then they signed D.D. Westbrook and KJ Osborne developed, but he's doing so well. I just wanted to bring it up. Cordarrelle, super happy for you, and I hope you're...
No, he watches too.
So. We know you're watching. I'm so happy for you, man. He's up there with Hester for me.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
For kick returning.
I think we've always said like it's been like him and Hester.
It's Hester
and him.
C/P, or Cordarrelle Hester, depending on what type of returner you want. If you're going punt and kick return, probably Hester. But if you're going just kick return, I think Cordarrelle's right equal with them. So before we get to our Viking section, we have one more thing that actually just happened.
I was just checking the tweets. And Bart Scott's had a comment.
Yeah, former Ravens running linebacker
and
Bartholomew
Jets
Scott.
linebacker.
Yeah, and Jets
too.
Yeah.
If there's any Jets fans out there,
Yeah, for the Jet fan. Yeah, he said that Marquise Hollywood Brown would not start for any other team in the AFC North. So he wouldn't start for the Browns, the Steelers, or the Bengals, because apparently,
he just wouldn't start for them.
So you were looking up Marquise's stats.
Yeah.
And you said he's currently ranked...
So in yards, he is wide receiver 7.
Okay.
And in touchdowns, he's tied for second with 5. The only person beating him is Mike Williams with 6.
And that's with a running back throwing to him.
Yeah, exactly.
Right?
Yep.
So we're saying that he wouldn't be a better quarterback or he wouldn't be a better wide receiver if he had Roethlisberger, Burrow...
He probably wouldn't be a better receiver
Baker.
if he had Roethlisberger.
Or Baker.
I
mean, Lamar's better than both of them.
Yeah.
But I'm just saying, like, the people always say that Lamar can't throw. So if he's the number 3 wide receiver in touchdowns and number 7 in yards...
He's second in touchdowns.
So if he's number 2 in touchdowns and 7 in yards, wouldn't that mean with a quarterback that can throw, he'd be number 1 and maybe number 3?
Yeah. Maybe.
But that type of receiver doesn't start.
No, he wouldn't start for... Then I believe...
Wouldn't start for Bart.
I believe Bartholomew is his name. He said he wouldn't start for... I think he went through the rest or most of the other AFC teams. He skipped some of the teams where like he probably would start.
Right, he did. He mentioned the Bucks, who have the best weapons in football, possibly.
Yep.
And he also did mention the Bengals, but the Bengals have underrated receivers. Like T. Higgins, Tyler Boyd, and Jamar Chase are maybe the best trio of wide receivers that I can think of.
Sure.
He mentioned Kyler Murray's Cardinals. I would probably put Marquise at wide receiver 2. I'd start him over AJ Green and Christian Kirk.
Yeah, he's lost a lot of Christian Kurt.
And I like Rondale more, but Marquise is starting over him. So I mean, he's wide receiver 2 for me there.
Yeah, exactly. So,
and any of those teams that he listed, they're gonna switch to a 5 wide receiver offense if they add Hollywood Brown to their team.
Exactly. You look at the Broncos, he'd probably be the 3rd there. He didn't mention the Raiders, which he'd probably be number 1 for the Raiders.
Yep. He would be wide receiver 1 for the Raiders for sure.
Yeah.
For sure. He mentioned the Chargers.
Yeah. That's tough.
The Chargers just will run 3 wideouts every time at that point. Yeah. They'll run 4 wideouts and move Eckler to the 4th wideout.
Yeah. No, I'm sure the Chiefs would take him willingly.
Yeah. Oh, and also he mentioned the Bills.
Yeah.
And he said that Emmanuel Sanders and Cole Beasley and Diggs are all starting over him. No.
Yeah.
So Emmanuel Sanders, who did not have a great year last year, has been going nuts the past couple of weeks with the Bills. Put Hollywood Brown in place of Emmanuel Sanders, and instead of 2 touchdowns of each of these last weeks, it's 2 or 3 touchdowns and 150 plus yards.
Yeah.
Like that was such an asinine comment. Like, I can't believe it. And Robert Griffin III apparently responded saying like he disagrees, and then Bart Scott started to talk crap about Robert Griffin III's career, even though it's his coworker.
Yeah.
So
no, don't you can't sell short on like individual seasons, like the accomplishments of players for the individual seasons, because Mike Williams was like, I don't know, wide receiver 38 or something. I don't know. I'm just making that up. That number.
Mike Williams has been on my fantasy team since his rookie year.
Yeah.
I love Mike Williams.
Yeah, and so this is the year where like he's tearing it up. So and it's.
He started with a few touchdowns and like no catches or yards. Then he went to a bunch of touchdowns and 0 yards. Now he's getting yards, catches, touchdowns. So good.
Yeah. So this is the season where Hollywood's doing very well. And so
weird. A wide receiver, a good player isn't always good every year that they're in the NFL. Baker Mayfield, some people might say his best season was his rookie season. Yeah. So oh my gosh. I thought that was such a terrible comment. Bart made it seem like Hollywood Brown was in his feelings, but Bart Scott was so in his feelings that he attacked a coworker.
Yeah.
So I can't believe that.
I discredit what he's saying, because
I would discredit
we're all seeing what the Hollywood Browns, the Mike Williams, like these receivers that have established a name for themselves, but they're taking their game to the next level.
Bart Scott is respected amongst a lot of Ravens fans. Maybe not as many after this, but if you are still a Ravens fan that agrees with what Bart is saying, the Vikings will give you a 7th round pick. We'll take Hollywood Brown.
Yeah.
But if you don't want him, if you don't think he'll start for any other team, you don't need him then. We'll take.
Yep.
Well, 7th round in like 2026 if they allowed that. We'll do that. That's fine.
Sure.
We'll take him. We'll do KJ Osborne, Justin Jefferson, Adam Thielen, Marquise Brown every time. We'll take him.
See what happens.
We'll take him. Give him to Aaron Rodgers and see if the Packers would take him. So dumb.
Yeah.
I hated that. Yeah. I didn't think that was real because that's how stupid that was.
We just looked it up.
To another team that wears purple though, our team, our Vikings. Old Metrodome poster. Skull, skull. Big Vikings podcast here. There were some topics. One was Kirk and Zimmer got into some fisticuffs at the end of the game, and people were all saying that was not talking positively, and that was clear fighting and arguing. Yeah. Luckily we had somebody, smart cameraman, on them where we were able to catch the mic'd up version, and Kirk. What was he saying?
He was mic'd up for that game, actually. Kirk had a mic on him. And you know what he said? He turned around and he was like, "You like that? You like that?" Because apparently, and I saw this somewhere, so it may or may not be true, but on that last drive where we had like 37 seconds, 2 timeouts or whatever, Kirk had to lead him down the field, which is weird because we had like 41 seconds at the end of the half with 2 timeouts, and we just like sat on
did nothing with it.
Yeah. So Kirk apparently was supposed to do a play, but he audibled out of it because he wanted to do something else, and it turned out to be the right play because we got down the field and we won the game. So I think this just goes to show that they, if you're watching this, let Kirk loose.
Yeah. Or Kirk, keep audibling.
Yeah.
If Clint is going to keep having terrible play calling, audible into a play action. Yeah. Audible into a deep pass downfield. Yeah. Nobody can guard Justin Jefferson.
Yeah. Justin Jefferson, he's like 4th in yards, so like he's killing everyone on routes. So
just and Thielen's gonna break down anybody with his route running. So I hope Kirk keeps audibling as long as Clint keeps calling terrible calls. Or I hope number one thing I hope is that Clint learns how to play call.
Yeah, I hope that Zimmer after the Lions game, he went to his like offensive coordinator's offensive staff and said, I want you to like dissect your essentially what you've been doing and see how to make it better. And I hope they see the last 37 seconds or whatever and realize that Kirk can make any throw. If we make
that last 41 seconds of halftime, we shouldn't just be sitting on it, not hoping for a 10-yard plus run and then we'll go for it. That was a stupid comment, but
if you have any opportunity to get points, you should get points.
Well, and that's how the best teams in the NFL are currently operating. Like, don't just dissect what your offense is doing. Dissect what the best offense is. Look at what the Chargers are doing. Look at what the Chiefs are doing. Look at what the Bills are doing. The Chargers had a 4th and 8 and went for it. The Ravens have had multiple 4th and 5 and 4th and 4s that have gone for it, and I believe the Ravens have converted on like 80% of those, and the Chargers at the moment, because they haven't bet as much, are converting like 100% of their 4th and shorts. Go for it. Who cares? Like, playing so passive is how you lose the game. Your specialists aren't good enough to guarantee a pinned punt and good field position. Or made long field goal. Your specialists aren't good enough to guarantee that. And the defense is nowhere near good enough to say, you know what, if they have slightly better field position, we'll be able to stop them. But the offense is good enough to say, hey, let's score.
And I do think, I think that, like, that kick, the Lions kick, was great for Greg Joseph because it gave him the confidence that he can get that. And now hopefully he keeps with that mentality and it's like, I'm going to go out there and I'm going to make this kick. Not have to be like, if I miss, like, we shouldn't have to rely on a game-winning kick.
And your mentality of your coaches, your mentality of your team is going to all carry throughout.
Yeah.
So if your mentality as the offensive coordinator or as the head coach is, we're going to play it safe because we're going to think worst scenario possible. I don't want to go for it because then it might be a bad play. I don't want to try to score in those last 41 seconds because you might score and get thrown an interception and the other team might have a chance to score in the last 30 seconds. Think of best scenario possible. We might score a touchdown or get some points, because if you think of the negative way, then your kicker is also going to think, I hope I don't have to kick longer than 40 yards because I might miss it. It was very frustrating, and then Zimmer's press conference afterward was frustrating, but I think that whole like Zimmer and him pushing back and forth, Zimmer's quite old. And I've seen this with a lot of like older people when younger people react aggressively positive, which a lot of like meatheads tend to do, where they get physical when they're excited. Zimmer's face was just more of like a fight or flight response to me. Like he was ready to like.
Yeah, but then he was smart. Like
then he knew what was happening, which is why the other coach grabbed him and like held him off, because his initial reaction looked like it was gonna fight, but it didn't end up that way because it was actually overall a positive interaction. Speaking of Kirk, though, he does like that, and I want to keep liking that because he's been killing it. This is his best season so far. The Vikings record doesn't show it, but that's because our defense has not been doing well, and our offense is boring as hell. We run the least amount of play. So the two teams that ran the most successful play actions last year are each running bottom 5 play actions this year, which is the Vikings and I think it was the Rams, or it might have been the Chiefs, are running. They were top 3 offenses on play action last year. Vikings were number 1 and now are number 29 or 30th. And both of those teams are now 1 and 2 or 1 and 3 are now 29 and 30 or 29 and 32. And then it's so predictable. First down, they're going to run it. 3rd and long, they're going to run it and punt it. It's so boring.
2nd and long, it's most likely a run for the Vikings.
Dalvin is a game changer. One of the best running backs in the league. With CMC hurt, he's second to Derrick Henry in my eyes.
Full participant today.
Yeah.
So that...
You looked like you were going to say something?
Kirk Cousins in his last 13 and a half games, 4,051 passing yards, 36 touchdowns, 3 interceptions, 4 game-winning drives.
The people that are currently hating on Kirk are just hating on Kirk because the team's not winning. Winning is not a quarterback stat. It never will be. Quarterbacks can help you win the game, but the best quarterback in the world will not win with a team that is not playing well around him. Tom Brady left the Patriots because they didn't surround him with talent. They kept refusing to put talent around him and hoping that they would develop young guys and trade old guys before they got bad. He went to the Buccaneers, won the Super Bowl. He would have won if you swap those teams, like the players, if you swap personnel and just keep Tom Brady still wins the Super Bowl there. It's just like that. The quarterback is the piece, the glue that holds the puzzle together, but you still need the pieces to put the puzzle together. Yeah, I mean, that's really all that we got for sports overall today. We do have some games, I guess, coming up that we could talk about. We have been doing that. Vikings this week.
Oh, yeah.
Vikings go against the Panthers. Panthers most likely will not have Christian McCaffrey. It sounds like today he has not practiced all week. This is not rest. It sounds like Chuba Hubbard's going to be playing. That's not great news for them, but in my opinion, the Vikings defense has not been acting in a way that they should be scared of them.
Outside their pass rush.
Which Darnold is really bad under pressure.
Yeah.
So I think the Vikings win this one.
I hope so.
I think the Vikings win this one, but I think so. Let's see. Yeah, Vikings are 1-point favorite. I think that's about right. So that's basically a pick 'em. Whatever team wins is the team that covers.
It's pretty good because we're in Carolina,
right?
So
I think Sam Darnold doesn't do well under pressure, and they're on a downslope right now. I like Matt Rule as a coach, and I love the Panthers defense. And they did just get Stephon Gilmore.
One thing you got to watch out for is Zimmer typically does not do well, or Zimmer's defenses don't do well against quarterbacks that can run. And Sam Darnold, I believe, is like the highest
most rushing touchdowns out of all quarterbacks right now.
So can move around a little bit. Gotta watch out for that. But with Bar back,
maybe Bar was out with practice today.
Let's hope it's rest.
It was not. It was a knee. It was an injury.
Got it.
So, Bar's hurt again. So I think Vikings win, but I don't think it's going to be another, are we going to win? Are we going to win?
Yeah,
are we going to win?
Yeah, it's going to I hope it's another Seahawks thing.
Where they dominate a team that's supposed to win.
Yeah.
I like the Panthers a lot, but I do want the Vikings to win. Key matchups, Gilmore versus JJ or Thielen, and then Henderson versus the other one. And then for the Vikings defense, it's
wide receiver
Moore. DJ Moore.
Yeah.
DJ Moore against everyone, because DJ Moore is better than any corner we have. So hopefully I put Cam Dantzler on him. Let's see what he can do. Like, Cam's doing well. And put Harry safety over the top.
Keep the shot out of there. Let's give him after his tweet. Let's just give him a little game off to think about it.
Veteran rest.
Yeah,
veteran rest to think about it.
However, you got to give credit where credit is due. He is no longer the worst corner in the league per
he's
PFF.
103 out of 107.
No, he's 109 out of 112.
109 out of 112. So, he's not worst anymore. I don't know who those other ones are. Could care less. But couldn't care less. And load the box, stop Chuba Hubbard, blitz Darnold to all hell, and that should be
Xavier Woods over the top of.
And that's the recipe to win. And then when you're on offense, I don't care if you're up by 14, go for a touchdown.
Yep.
I don't care if you're up by 35, keep running the ball. Then run the ball. Don't run halfback dive, run pitch, run option. Like, keep running offensively. Try to run the clock out. But if you score again, that's their fault. So. Please play more aggressively. You know what? Couple big games this week.
Rams Giants. Pick the Rams.
Rams Giants. Definitely pick the Rams.
They lost last week to arguably they were the top teams in the NFC. Mm-hmm. Fighting off, it was the Cardinals and Rams. Yeah, the Rams lost a close one, I believe, but they're going to want to get back and get a win. So this is not betting advice, but pick the Rams.
So there are some big games this week, in my opinion. Chargers-Ravens should be a good game.
It's a good one. Why would you want Marquise Brown in that game, though?
If I were to pick an upset, that would be probably one of my upsets. I think
Mark
Ravens.
Andrews and Marquise Brown just tore apart.
Well, and so the Chargers' offense is incredible,
right?
But the Ravens' defense is really good. The Ravens' offense is really good, but the Chargers' defense has not been really good.
Yeah.
So I think the Ravens do have a chance there. The Ravens are actually favorites, so that's surprising. But I do think the Ravens have a really good chance. And then the Browns are favorites over the Cardinals.
The Rams were favorites over the Cardinals last week, too, I'm pretty sure.
Because people keep expecting the Cardinals to fall. But
however, Kyler and DeAndre are both questionable. They both have been a little banged up.
If either of them are even slightly hurt while playing, then the Browns have a very good chance of winning. But if the Browns play the way that they did against the Vikings, against the Cardinals, it's a blowout, 45-17 level blowout.
Yeah.
Raiders, Broncos. I think Broncos win because of the distractions for the Raiders.
Yeah.
And you know what? That's really it. We got some bye teams. Falcons, Saints, Jets, Niners are all on bye this week. Early bye is the worst for teams. Players hate the early bye. Sorry to those teams. Sorry if you're a fan of those. Nobody really sorry for the Jet fan again.
We see
Niners were on the downslope. They're in the hardest division. Falcons are failing and Saints are failing. So they're 3-2, but still, they're not doing as well as people expected. And that's all we got for sports. Clint Kubiak says that Kirk could do better, or Kirk
he's evolved.
He's evolved to the point where they could probably start giving him more than they've been giving him.
What we just said. I just read that.
Just said it.
I just read that on Twitter that Clint said Kirk is evolved. He's very smart.
They're clearly listening right now.
I know, yeah.
Golly! They're listening more than our viewers.
Wow!
Wow! Golly! But yeah, that's it. We don't have a ton more sports. You know, NBA's in preseason, not a ton to talk about. We're not big baseball or hockey fans, so those are going on, but we're not really going to talk about them. You know, curling isn't going on, so we're not talking about curling right now.
Underwater basket weaving season's done.
Badminton tournament's over.
Yeah.
Most of the
Cornhole.
But yeah, anyway, so that's basically all we got for you for the sports section. I hope you enjoyed this section. This is going to be a little shorter, just like last week. The last week's shorter episode was pretty successful for us, so we're going to try to keep this a little shorter. Thank you for watching. I appreciate every single one of you. Gained a couple subscribers. Thank you so much. I hope that means you're enjoying and watching and listening, and, you know, like we said, kiss us, so you must want to kiss us.
Or someone's holding a gun to your head.
Someone's holding a gun to your head, because why would you subscribe to this channel? All I can say to you is, I saw this the other day, and it just, you know, hits home. Just try to live every day like it's the last day. Like, I know that's cliche and people say it all the time, but, you know, do everything with your whole ass. Don't half-ass anything. You know, like, I don't half-ass this podcast. I do research every day of the week. I sleep deprived to make sure I get editing and do my other stuff done, and do everything whole ass. Don't ever half-ass anything, because you'll be much more satisfied if you do. That's all I really got to say. I hope you enjoyed this. Like, subscribe if you do enjoy. There'll be pop-ups here too, so if you're not listening, it's gonna be there.
I got one thing to say from the wise words of Shia LaBeouf. Yesterday you said tomorrow, so make your dreams come true.
Here's your dreams. Just do it! Do it. Thank you. Love from both of us. GG.
GG.
GG.